I'm really so excited for this episode.
I'm really nervous about this one. Yeah, I'm like,
He's quite nervous because now he's taking the lead on reporting a lot of the stuff, right? So in the previous episodes, it was me, and now he is on.
Oh, he's got to do some work. So
in the spotlight.
Okay.
Exactly.
I can't.
I'm already unbuttoning myself.
I can't just throw in things from the side like, look, here's a random thought to throw your trail off.
Yeah, get comfortable. Yeah, no, it's
you want me to take my shirt off?
Another button is okay.
Up or down?
Yeah, just from the bottom. That's what. He's just sitting there with his shirt pinned to him at the top. Miss Tang.
All right, ready?
Yes, ready.
Hi everyone, it's Sarah and welcome back to another episode of Better in Bed, the podcast where we talk a lot about sex and hopefully inspire you to get better at it. So today's topic, a personal favorite of mine, is Eat Right, Becoming a Cunning Linguist. I can never say that with a straight face, actually. Okay, so I know some of you are wondering, what is a cunning linguist? And it's actually our clever way of saying someone who loves pleasuring a woman orally and someone who is also pretty good at doing it. And I like to think that becoming a cunning linguist should really be an essential life skill for a lot of men, like making eggs in the morning or parallel parking.
It's becoming sexist.
Yeah, it is.
Or, no, but guys, you need to
Many
get
women
this
can
shit
parallel
down.
park too. I've seen it. I've seen it at least
Can
once.
Black
Can
man.
they?
Oh, sorry.
But
That's only payback.
But can they skin a moose? And
I'm sure that means something else now.
survive in the wilderness? Okay. I guess you've heard that there's more than just me in the studio today. And I'd like to obviously introduce who else is here. My wonderful co-host,
Yep.
Jai.
Mandatory guest.
The guest that never left. And my other guest, his name is Roland. He's a personal friend of mine. I like to describe him as a pre-millennial who mostly dates millennials.
No, objection. That's not fair.
Well, how would you describe yourself?
That paints me in a very, not in such a nice way.
No. But I
That's
think
okay.
you have
I know where you're getting
I
at.
think what I'm trying to say is that
I'm man of the world?
you're
What?
definitely older, but you have a very
You're definitely older.
you have a very young energy about you, and that's my way of saying that.
I've been around the block. Thanks.
Yeah, you've been.
Many times.
And he knows things, man.
So what else do we need to know about you, Roland? You were born in London?
Yeah.
Grew up in Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah, I'm a Hong Kong boy.
And you love going down on women. That's why we invited you to this show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, today's topic, becoming a cunning linguist.
Yes.
Not just is it attitude in terms of you need to love going down on women, but I think you have to be reasonably good at it as well in order to qualify as a cunning linguist. So I'm going to turn the question to you two. Do you reckon that both of you are cunning linguists?
Yeah, I reckon because it's something I enjoy. And again, as we spoke right back, like it being a giver, and it's something that I find arouses me the most. In fact, sometimes it is the only thing that kind of really can get me to that next level. And something that, kind of you said, like, I'm really happy for it to be the main event. And it's not in some altruistic fashion. I'm actually very sure it's validating me as a man and a lover.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I always thought most men are like that, but apparently not after listening to your first few episodes.
Yeah, in my experience, I've found men to be quite binary. It's like the men
In
who
general.
love going down, and then the minute your underwear's off, that's all they go for, right? That they're honing in on it.
Yeah.
And then the men who never go down, never ever. And no matter how many blowjobs you can give them, it's like they just don't get the hint. So my second question to you is, why do some men just never go down?
Well, it doesn't make sense to me, to be perfectly
Yeah.
honest. I mean, as you said, you have a very giving attitude. I mean, there's givers and takers in the world.
Yeah.
And you have a giving attitude, and it just doesn't make sense to me unless you're being selfish. And
Yeah, I think And again, when you say never, and again, this is the first time I've ever spoken and looked another man in the eyes about this. Like,
It's fine.
Is it? Do you talk about this?
I'm absolutely fine.
No, I said, have you talked about?
I have, yeah, only in the car today when I was discussing the
Yeah,
show.
but that's the thing, right? Like, I think.
yeah,
you
no,
know,
of course, men, and yeah, and it's, again, I've listened to previous show, but we don't talk about
Yeah,
it.
but as to why some men never, I really don't know, and that's my own naivety, having not spoken to enough men about this.
Yeah, maybe we should have invited someone who just never went down
Yeah,
on the
let's
show.
let's
Yeah.
get a
Who's
shout
going to
out.
admit that?
Yeah, but who would admit that? I don't know.
Well, there are definitely girls who admit they never give blowjobs.
That's true. But I'm just wondering if is it like a hygiene issue? I've got female listeners and female friends who've asked me, is it because we don't smell good, we don't taste good? And for a lot of women who aren't comfortable with already their bodies and particularly their genitals, it's a big concern.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but for myself, I can only think it's selfishness.
Yeah.
And that's that they want something different out of this interaction, whatever it's going to end up being.
Do you think maybe it's a confidence thing as well?
Maybe.
Again,
it's,
we
it's,
I
I mean, yeah, of course it can't. We can't. Man, as I said, I can't speak for everybody.
Exactly, because you're both obviously in the camp of guys who love to go down.
It's a shame, actually.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a shame because I think that's the way to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what does it actually smell and taste like when you're down there?
It's funny. It's funny you should say that. Well, actually, I don't. Well, as I said, I was discussing this earlier, and you obviously gave me some questions in advance. I was with some people. I said that. So, what is this? How do you expect it to smell? What's going to smell like? And does it smell if it smells bad? And my friend turns around just immediately says, "It smells bad because they're from somewhere specific." I said, "What do you mean? It's from where they're from. It has nothing to do with that."
So he thinks it's a cultural thing.
He thinks it's a cultural thing.
He thinks it's a race
There's absolutely nothing to do with that whatsoever.
So what is it about then?
Well, I don't
in
know.
your opinion?
I mean, I'm a bit tongue-tied. I'm sure you can edit that out.
Yeah.
This is the episode called Cunning Linguist.
Yeah, exactly. I knew I would mumble as well. Sorry, repeat the question, please.
So the question was, what does it actually smell and taste like?
Well, it depends on the person, obviously.
Yeah. It's definitely a makeup of everything from diet to hydration levels to,
It's body chemistry.
Yeah, body chemistry.
Everyone's made up differently. I mean, we all have different smells.
Okay, but give me a bit more of a sense. Are we going for dessert here, or are we going for a barbecue? I mean, what are we going for? Is it sweet? Is it like
it's sweet,
creamy?
with like a tiny bit of tang.
Well, hang on a second. Really? I mean, for all of them?
Well, no, I think
you get very different flavors.
in a spectrum of kind of.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Generally, I think it's sweet, and then because it's the same pH as white wine, actually. If you're really
now
interested.
I'm getting technical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there is a slight acidity to it.
Yeah, that makes
Which
sense.
is like wine is sweet, but it's still it has an acidity as a taste.
I mean,
and a
it's
flavor
totally a pleasurable thing.
yeah.
For me.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally pleasurable. I mean, look, there has been instances in the past where there's not been a particularly pleasurable experience.
Okay.
But that was one time.
Yeah.
And
I think I could count how many times it's been.
it was literally one time. And
Yeah. I think women need to understand that, because sometimes they just get so caught up in their own sort of body issues. And especially that I know a lot of women who just uncomfortable with themselves, especially their genitals. And they think that they are so self-conscious about whether they smell right or they taste funny. And I like hearing from you guys that it's actually not an issue, right? I mean, or it is an issue like 1% of the time.
Yeah, but just like anything, not everyone smells great 100% of the time, and just like normal people, it's just another part of your body. But I think, as I kind of said to you leading up to this, it's definitely something that you can overthink, and for women who wash too often, I think that can cause some further hygiene issues, which might lead to certain smells. But it's important. Just licked your lips while you said that.
I just had to remember the girlfriend that I had. And anyway.
But I think about anything to do with this. There's no blueprint, and there's no particular set of rules to follow. And I think the great thing is that for those of us who love doing it, it's very natural. It's something you look forward to. It's almost it's a taste that is so hard to describe because it doesn't really smell or taste like anything else. That allure of it can kind of keep you coming back.
And also, I think, as we were talking earlier, it's the love that, the feedback you get in a positive way is so pleasurable in itself.
Yeah.
Through the whole experience.
And it's quite intimate, right? In some
so.
ways, it's actually more intimate than penetrative sex.
I think so, 100%.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Because I think we spoke about this in our Penis Genius episode. It is about giving up a certain level of control. It is embracing your partner. It is being all vulnerable.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I need to tell that story that I thought I laughed about.
Okay,
So
tell
we
the
were
story.
talking about cleanliness and things like that, and I just think I had a girlfriend. God, hope she doesn't hear this. And every
maybe
time
she
she went to
should.
the bathroom, it's not a negative thing
Yeah.
at all. But she was very conscious of how she looked and how she was and how she everything. As a lot of people are, I guess, not just women, particularly me. Is every time she went to the bathroom, went to the toilet, she would have wet wipes with her all the time, and she would wipe herself with a wet wipe. She wanted to be absolutely perfectly clean. Normal toilet paper, dab, then a proper good wipe.
Wow.
Made absolutely no difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that might.
So she still smelled and tasted the
Yeah,
same.
absolutely the same. Absolutely the same.
just
a
Because
bit-
naturally, you can't. It's
Depending on what
it's
sense you bought.
organic, right?
Yeah.
We're always
Yeah.
the fluids are always changing around us.
Yeah.
And we spoke a lot about last episode, like, what you put in your body is what comes out.
Yes, and that's what it is.
I've never mapped it as hard as, what Christina was saying is, for smokers, cum tastes different and, very specific
I can
stuff.
imagine.
And I'm
Absolutely.
like, I don't think that's specific for women, but then again, I've never really charted it as well. Like, there's no flavor and scent wheel for the vagina, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for all of those women who are listening and who tell me that they feel ashamed or they don't enjoy it or they wipe themselves down with wet wipes, I mean, I think it's also really important to just reframe your attitude towards cunnilinguist or, guys who are cunning linguists, because it is also about prioritizing sometimes your own pleasure as well and seeing it as a form of self-love and self-care, that you're with a partner who so lovingly and willingly wants to give you this pleasure and being able to accept it and receive it in the sort of the spirit that it was offered.
Sure. So, as you know, I did a lot of thinking and reading and asking of questions this week.
Not a lot of practicing.
No, this week, no. Was actually, well,
It was a slow week for
I,
Jai.
that's where I've got to be really careful. Now that we're going into real time, I need to be careful what I say.
You got another bloke in the room. Now.
Oh, yeah, bloody six women a day,
I wish.
6-course meal.
So give us some juicy tidbits.
Sure. So I think for me and for the few people I spoke to, it definitely wasn't a blueprint. It was around responding to your partner, if their feelings, emotions, what type of sex you're having. Is this, you've come back from a great night out? Is this, something more intimate and sensual because, it's a new romance? But I think just like the penis episode, which the feedback has been really interesting already.
Yeah.
It's about like person to person and, whether you're male or female doing this, it's about that moment to moment stuff where it is such a sensitive area of a woman that it has to be treated as such. And that's about being responsive to everything.
Yeah.
Some of the things that came up is that, definitely from why women are often shy about it was really interesting. Sorry, my cats are tearing each other apart.
They love me.
That's so strange. Is that, definitely kind of magazines sent really mixed messages on what to
Okay.
expect was one of the points I heard.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, accept yourself, but not really. Accept yourself, but here's the top 10 things you need to do to be a woman.
Yeah.
And that kind of mixed messaging does make something like oral sex for women really confusing.
Not to mention, we see on porn all the time, more often than not, it's the woman dropping to her knees to give the guy a blowjob, right?
Yeah.
And of course, yes, oral sex does happen for women in porn, but it's so much less frequent.
And it's the strangest thing to watch. I don't know about you, but out of all my porn habits,
Yeah.
watching someone go down, I just don't enjoy it.
Well, don't even get me. When you do your anal episode, let me come back because
Okay,
I cannot
you come
stand
back.
watching people have anal because I just don't like the way it's condescending into women. But I mean, that's my makeup anyway.
Yeah.
But the whole dropping to your knees, taking up the ass. I mean,
Yeah.
I know there's a pleasure in that for some.
Yeah.
But for me to watch it, it's disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really interesting episode that we've got coming up called
sure.
Make Love Not Porn.
So the second reason that a lot of women said they were nervous is really a body image problem or body image concern.
Not surprised.
So, what should your vagina look like? And many women have never heard the expression an innie versus an outie when it comes to your vulva and vagina. Oh,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, but
Well, it's
you
the
know,
same thing with your belly button.
It is exactly the
I
same,
was
yeah.
about to say our guest last week, the penis genius guest Christina. She'd not heard of the grower and the shower
Oh, no, yeah, I heard that. I thought, really?
either.
So she knew what it was, but
She
just,
knew what it
yeah,
was,
maybe
yeah.
it's the Australian idiom. Everything must have a
That's
nickname.
not Australian. I mean, I'm
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
Australian
sorry,
as
yeah, I
well,
should-
but that's
So explain what is an innie and what is an outie for the female listeners who don't understand that.
So quite simply, it's whether your labia and your labius minor. Am I getting that right?
Labia majora and your labia
Labia
minora.
minora.
So you're probably talking about the minora because that's the smaller
Yeah.
inner lips. Yeah.
So it's just if your labia majora actually cover your labia minora.
Yes, very technical
I didn't know I
here.
rolled in this class.
I'm clapping because she gave me a look when she was being all technical. I thought, damn.
Yeah.
So for many women, even that can be a concern. And I
Yeah.
remember it's a running joke in the series Californication.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
actually,
'cause that's real life.
yeah. But looking back, but this is the issue. Like looking back, that running joke actually would give a lot of people a lot of self-doubt.
Yeah.
And I think that's really difficult, especially for women. Because for most men, they've only seen their own dick except what they're watching in porn, and that acceptance, I think, comes a little quicker.
Yeah, and in porn, actually, you tend to mainly see innies because a lot of the porn stars get this surgery, this labial surgery where they cut their lips so that they're actually innies rather than outies. So you
Really?
don't see that many women with the lips that sort of flow out from the
It's no
inside.
different to Photoshop and,
Yeah.
you know,
And is there a
very-
difference to you men
No.
approaching an innie or an outie?
No,
not for me.
no, definitely not. Some change. That's
Some-
if you want the 1% of oh wow, you want to see something that's a bit of a bonus.
Yeah.
Some go from an innie to an outie when
Yes,
they're aroused.
absolutely.
Whoa.
Of
And-
course,
and it's
but
called-
that's the best thing.
And that's called
What?
opening. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what
Oh,
opening
come
the
on,
flower
You're
is.
joking, right?
No, I didn't
we
know
have
that.
just taught Sarah Tang.
Oh my god!
Yes. So
No,
basically,
Absolutely no, of course.
So they grow, they
common.
bloom.
they bloom. Yes. Yeah. So I'm using my hands here, but sometimes it's just that first touch, and you run it up, and it'll just really slowly.
Absolutely, that's the most amazing thing.
Because it becomes erect,
Wow.
right? So obviously, a clitoris can become erect.
Yeah, no,
So
of course I know.
The same blood stimulation happens
Yeah.
through the labia, and that can cause it to change. If if you're a
Yeah.
grower, not a shower.
But
I was gonna, okay, I'll just keep quiet.
again, like I guess because I'm just so used to looking at my own genitals,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not the expert on like lots of women's genitals necessarily, but that is amazing. And
absolutely.
for all the girls who do that, good on you.
Yeah.
What else? What else do you think
Um,
prevents women from enjoying it?
Selfishness in terms from men. Sorry, selfishness.
Okay.
So girls are taught, through porn and through the media that basically they're to please a man, and that selfishness for a man is what is expected, and that well, maybe him going down on me is a bonus.
Yeah.
And then, so I started thinking about this all week, and I spoke to a few different people, plus kind of tried to surmise some of my own experiences, and I'll just kind of tell you what my kind of first principles are, and that's around. There's no specific ABCs of the vagina. Just like a penis,
Yeah.
it is a unique and shared. It's a unique part of the person.
Yeah.
But it's a shared experience. It's a unique experience.
Yeah.
And yes, there are a variety of mouth positions which really pay off. But it's not about becoming rote learned, and there are plenty of good books on it. My favorite was always She Comes First, which is a really honest and open read about a man who suffers from erectile dysfunction and basically oral pleasure was his ticket to relationships.
Yeah.
Was his ticket to life.
Yeah.
And he gives some great techniques around how to start. And and that's when I talk about first principles. Starting isn't just shoving two fingers into a girl's vagina.
And not literally doing the ABCs, right?
Yeah.
Because I've heard that as well. Like
you're meant to hum the alphabet.
You hum the alphabet, like lick
never
the
heard that?
alphabet, like on her vulva, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Well, firstly, we live in Asia, and that would be like Chinese characters all over the place.
Maybe that's more interesting than the English alphabet.
I don't know. But I'm like thinking, how would that actually be pleasurable for a woman?
It's exhausting for the man. It would not be a shared experience. It would be an ultra-focused one. It is not only around, so not shoving your fingers into her vagina. It's also about not latching on to her clitoris with your mouth. It's similar to what we saw in the penis episode, where it is about a really slow build-up, where it's around your hands, it's around your body position, it's even around the way you take off her underpants, or maybe even you won't take off her underpants. It's around really soft kisses while her underpants are still on. It's about caressing the sides of her legs. And as I said to you on that episode, the touch I hate, which is that real light, tingly touch, pays off in spades for most of the women that I've been with, because it is such a gentle, it's such a delicate moment. And I think as men, we are so used to doing things hard and fast, and you've just got to remember that you're not here for 5 minutes. You've kind of got to dig in and commit. Well, that's a bad euphemism to use.
No, but you're absolutely right. I think, and especially if you go back to if you want to give pleasure, you want to have that interaction with your partner, which is incredibly intimate, then it has to be.
Yeah.
So how do you usually approach the whole oral pleasure thing, especially with women who I'm sure you must have had experience with women who don't feel quite comfortable with it? How would you
actually more often than not?
Yeah.
I have that.
How would you warm
really
someone up like that?
I have. Actually.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just thinking about recent things. I'm sorry. Getting a bit excited. No, it's a difficult one, because it actually, in honesty, and I'm going to remember this very specific thing that happened literally a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Well, actually, not a few weeks ago.
Okay, that's okay.
It's a little bit longer, but it continues to happen. That was what was, and this is what was happening. And she sort of said, no, I don't. She just wants to, get on with it.
Yeah.
And I always want to, I enjoy the foreplay, and I want to offer, something. And I know she's not there for the sex either, so it is an intimate time with us. But she doesn't feel comfortable. But sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But then when she's being negative about it, it makes me think I'm not doing it right.
Oh, no.
And then I'll think, if she really doesn't want it, then I shouldn't do it. But I almost know it's giving her pleasure, so I'm not quite sure what's going on. And you know what? I haven't really discussed it with her.
Yeah.
And I should. I need to.
Yeah.
And she's here right now to discuss it with you. I'd love to do that one.
This just turned into the Jerry Springer show. We opened the door.
You're doing a good job. But no, that's it's. Yeah. So what do I do?
What do you do?
Well, you have to caress, kiss, move to different parts of the body, and just find where it's comfortable. And again, as you say, you don't go straight in. But I wasn't. I was kissing and then moving down the body and doing very dumb. As you said, I'm premillennial, so I'm very traditional in some ways.
It's the move down, I think, that makes all the difference.
And the pace.
Right.
But it's that. But you need to get the vibe. It's the interaction between the two. That's the chemistry.
Because for some women, where it's about high intensity. Sometimes it is. Throw them on the bed.
Yeah.
Pull their pants around their ankles and just go at it, from behind them. To really make an impact.
Yeah.
I just went a bit dizzy. That was
but this is a very different kind of session.
So you've got to remember that at these polarities, it's around, again, kind of reading it. And I think the biggest mistake is that there's 1,000 names for what we're talking about, which is a partner giving oral pleasure to a woman.
Yeah.
And it's called Cunning Linguist. Oh, I said it. I got it out right.
Yeah, you
from
didn't
Greek
get
into Latin,
tongue-tied.
which is a hard word to say, but also doesn't have any modern day reference.
Yeah.
The next name going down on her, like she's some sort of cave, which I always think is
it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I hate that whole derogatory.
And then the strangest one I have a really big trouble with is giving her head. And I'm always like, oh,
Really?
please. Yeah.
Oh, I can't stand
just
like carpet
offensive.
munching.
Oh,
That's
offensive
the
as
worst.
well.
That's the worst. Carpet munching. I'm like, no, I've waxed. Thank you very much.
But
There's
actually,
no
but
carpet.
I'm trying to think of a good thing to say.
And then the last one is licking her out, which just sounds like she's an empty ice
That's
cream
very
cone.
Australian.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
Are you taking that? And, I'm quite traditional.
But at least that makes her sound delicious. You know what I mean? The ice cream cone makes her sound like it's a positive and pleasurable
It is
thing.
actually, and I'm trying to think
Right.
of what
No,
is the
it's,
positive way to describe the act if you're in.
Yeah, it borderlines on creepy, but we did have eating the honey pot the other day, or licking from the honey pot.
Oh, no.
See, it gets creepy really quickly, right?
It's like a tagline.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Have a taste of the honey
Yeah.
pot. And it's kind of been objectified, and it's been made a novelty of it, because guess what? Men are awful, and we say terrible things because
Yeah.
we don't know how to talk about things.
Yeah.
And I think the main problem is all these things are about devouring, kind of rather than even, to put it lightly, kind of tasting the most delicate part of your partner.
Yeah.
And I think that intention, come back to what Christina said, it really can set the pace and set the vibe for what you're doing.
If you're out to attack the clit,
Yeah.
then it's not necessarily going to work out that well for you.
Clitoral attack.
Clitoral attack with the tongue.
So I kind of tried to come up with tried to put my Sarah Sense hat on.
Oh,
And I was
yay.
like,
Sarah
God.
Sense, that's cool. I like
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, mate. So before we get into techniques, I just want your feedback about this, Sarah.
Okay.
I want to ask you some questions.
Okay.
So first principles, we're really around going down on her, or whatever you want to call it, is really about her and not just you. It's not your transaction. It's not the repayment for a blowjob. It is not. It is not what you're ensuring so she's wet enough to have sex with.
Yeah.
It can be the main event. I really like that whole idea.
Yeah.
But I think most importantly, if you think this is the thing I want her to remember, and kind of what you said before, if it's not going well, it's a big punch in the throat. Like it's like, oh God, what am I doing wrong? Like throws you off for the rest of it. It's like especially when if you ever had the just come up, it's fine.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that little tap
Oh
on the
shit!
shoulder?
I might have done that a little bit.
Right. Oh God! Yeah. Have you given? Yeah.
I have.
Because
I
I'm
have.
smart enough to know.
But I'm sorry, but
Oh God!
but you
being bullied on my
two
own podcast.
clearly you're both good at it. But I have
Oh,
had.
hey.
I never said that.
Hey, but I've had some where there's just too much going on, and I'm like, I'm really not enjoying
No,
this.
but
And I love oral,
But
right?
you
I love
practically manage
receiving.
your activity in a way.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought you were
can't
going to say
imagine
man. You proactively managed it.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, yeah, well, let's move on to fucking.
Please just end this.
No, but you get a sense that they're not enjoying it because you're trying to pleasure them.
Yeah.
You're trying to please them. So if you know if you're doing a good job or not,
Yeah.
and you know if they're lying or not. If
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
an
yeah,
intimate, if it's an intimate.
Okay, so what's
relationship.
what's the body language that gives it away that she's either enjoying it or not enjoying it?
Well, for me, my favorite body language is the hands behind the head. Plus, because I think for me, it makes me feel wanted. It makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing. And trust me, it's a great two-way street. Like I think for girls, and again, some of the feedback I had is like, it doesn't always have to be a verbal discussion, and it's even very difficult to say. You're dealing with 2 or 3 inches of skin. It's tiny. So hands behind the head can help her direct in terms of too much clitoris, not enough clitoris. Just really love like. This is why you need a bit of length in your hair. You basically become a horse with a rein around
Kind of
it.
it all.
And it really does help, and so really minor movements can help you go, okay, too much clitoris, not enough vulva, lower if she wants some anal play, etc.
Yeah. And I think for women as well, like it also depends on what position you're in, because if you're on top, right, and you are sort of riding, let's just say, riding the man's face, I think as well you can maneuver yourself in the right position.
Love that, by the way.
Yeah, that same. That hands down is my favorite thing. Like, especially like at the head of the bed, and I'm pointing at my face here, is like just angled there. And obviously that's there's a lot of trust there, but I actually think it really helps both partners kind of really enjoy that.
Yeah.
But in terms of body language, I definitely think it's obviously the spreading of the legs can really tell you a lot. It gets harder when she's about to orgasm because you've really got to work out. And sometimes for a lot of women who have really quite intense orgasms, you've kind of got to hold your ground sometimes as well.
Yeah.
So for me, like if we imagine it's the missionary oral, I've always got one arm up around on top of her near her pelvic bone, and trying to apply pressure there, especially if there's a finger or two fingers inside.
Yeah.
While I'm licking her or tasting her, and that can actually tell me a lot about is she about to come or not, because she starts to arch her back.
Yeah.
And quite literally, sometimes you need to hold them down, otherwise they're going to lose the position without realizing that it is 2 or 3 inches of, even smaller if it's a clitoral orgasm. That can really tell you a lot.
What I was thinking as well was that we talk a little bit about how being a cunning linguist isn't just all about the tongue, is it?
No, never. And I think it is about body position. And as I mentioned before, where your arms are, to kind of make her feel secure, and also to be able to access more of her pleasure point.
It's funny you say that, actually, because I'm often holding hands.
Oh, I love the holding hands.
Yeah, because that really is that there's so much interaction, and it's so you can feel everything that's going on, because it's pulling and pushing, little movements, the strength. It's that's Sorry,
I can see you
got a bit excited
drifting
then.
up. No, it does. And I think just like I said with the hair movements, it's not necessarily a big push or a pull. It's tiny little responses in the hands, etc.
Yeah. And I've had fingers in my mouth as well while guys are sort of going down on me, and I actually find that quite pleasurable as well, because it's just like a little something else for you to think about.
And that's it. I think I can remember the day I read in like some, it was probably Cosmo in Australia or somewhere, where it's like, your fingers are not your penis. Do not treat them the same way. And obviously, I was young. I'm not going to ages too much, but my age is already known. That's the only bit of feedback I keep getting. But it's not about finger fucking her, right? And even that expression on itself should tell you enough. It's not the same thing. But it is, and I know we're going to do a whole episode on squirting, which I'm incredibly excited about.
Yeah.
I'm excited to listen.
Yeah. But the fingers and tongue combo, that works for many women, right?
And it's about applying kind of what I like to do is kind of repetitive motions with my fingers. I find really helps, especially when you're inside somebody, because you kind of have to be careful. You don't kind of want to, you don't want to be carving out something, This is
God.
But I was just about to say, I'm thinking about my personal thing, but it's like you're trying to map out what's going on and what's working for you and what's working for them. So you are doing a little bit of a logistical survey.
Well, definitely there's the survey at the front, right? So where is her G-spot? If she's quite small, where's the top? We talked a lot about the kind of the depth of the vagina and how that extends, etc. So you don't want to be pushing against her cervix, for instance. And it's about knowing, what parts of her, really get the best response, which parts are too sensitive. So it is a quick survey. And then for me, it's not. It's so rarely an in and out motion. I won't say never. It's a much more considered and planned motion.
So what motion do you use, Roland?
Every motion possible. I was going to say every ocean. What the hell am I talking about?
Every ocean. Still got the squirting thing in your mind.
Dear.
I mean, I think another benefit of having the fingers in a woman's vagina is that it helps you also gives you the indication of when she's actually having an orgasm or close. Do you get that? Or when she's actually had an orgasm, do you sometimes feel with your fingers the contractions of the vagina?
Not as much. I think even during sex, it's depending on the intensity of it, I generally find it's much more telling through the thighs and her legs.
The body, definitely.
Yeah, whole body. And it's funny because I did make a few notes. And the only other note I've written here is around pressing your hands up rather than in. I should say fingers. It's not always a hand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Hand scary.
Not scary for everyone.
Not scary for everyone.
I'm sure there's an episode there. I wonder who I'm thinking of will actually talk about
There's definitely an episode there.
Yeah.
But
let's do it. It might be a telephone Skype.
Yeah, but for the tidy-mighties, a little scary.
There's this great clip from last week where... Oh, it's actually in the episode. It's fine. You'll hear it. But you talk about your tiny vagina. About pressing your fingers up rather than in, and kind of like slowly with pressure to gauge sensitivity, to gauge how she responds. it is really important, guys, to cut your nails. I can't stress
Yes.
that
Oh,
enough.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Sorry, just had an orgasm right there. Yes, please do.
No, I do, and it's well, even sometimes you don't cut them very well because we don't have
Yeah.
I have manicures sometimes, but not often. But it's sometimes you have sharp edges, and you have to be conscious of that
Yeah.
because that fucking hurts, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, I actually didn't send you these questions, so I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot.
Okay.
Let's just
Yeah.
wait for now.
Put me on the spot.
So I would love to know, top line, again, we're never overly specific on this show, best and worst experiences with oral pleasure.
Okay. Worst experience would be this guy that just too much saliva. Like,
Oh, that
he
could be
was
me.
just like a dog down there. It was...
Was it the sound or was it the actual saliva?
No, I don't... It was the sound that was putting me off, but also just...
Okay.
I mean, I was like dripping. I mean, I was not squirting, but it was dripping onto the bed. Like, I was like, this is just too much saliva right now. Like, you need to like rein it back a little bit. Yeah.
That's a bad signal if you're hearing that sound. That's terrible.
It's like loud kisses. I don't like anyone who
Yeah.
just kisses loudly, let alone
It's like
that.
sucking noodles.
I've got to be honest,
Yeah.
is that I carry a lot of saliva. And I have...
carry saliva around with you.
Yeah,
What?
big jars. Big jars under my shirt.
I'm scared now.
I have been guilty, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
But when it does happen, yeah. Because you know what happens in a bedroom, especially here in Hong Kong where it's hot, the AC kicks in and it's really cold. All of a sudden, you've got this big cold wet patch under your bum. But anyway, so that's the worst thing to happen to you.
I
So
mean-
basically, I've done the worst thing that's ever happened to you.
Yeah. I mean, the worst is obviously guys that just don't go down. That's a deal breaker for me,
Really?
right? Like, so forget it. Like, you want us to carry on, like, you need to go down otherwise, and you need to love it. So that's probably the worst, right?
Tiny bit.
So I do also have a few listener
Oh, good. Yeah.
contributions, right? So I asked some of my female friends and other listeners on the show, what are some of the biggest mistakes that men make when giving oral? And so this is what they say. The first is going straight for the clit. It's not a pie eating contest.
True story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can keep quiet.
Okay. The second is too much saliva. That's definitely that's from me.
I feel so
Sorry.
guilty about
The third is going down for 1 minute and then just magically being done. And the fourth, which I think we could talk a little bit more about this, but it's stopping just when the men get a rhythm going. So like just when you're sort of flicking the tongue or, putting the fingers, and then just when you're building up a rhythm.
The tongue gets sore and they give up.
Yeah, the tongue gets tired and then they just
a lot,
like,
but you need
and then they
to skills for
stop. And then the women just are like, fuck,
Is
you've
that
just left me.
I'm actually feeling quite good about myself all
Yeah.
of a sudden, actually.
It's like that Inner Circle song, When My Tongue Gets Tired.
So does any of this surprise you,
It's going to
or
be a good reference for you.
does your tongue actually get tired?
It can.
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely,
it
my tongue gets
can.
tired all the time.
I'm really sorry if I haven't made the fucking
Right,
tongue
right.
Olympics.
That's so yes, my tongue gets tired. I work it hard.
So what do you do in that situation? I mean, what happens when the tongue gets tired?
Okay, so, well, you don't want to stop because also if it's getting tired, it's probably working the way it should and everything is in tune and you're interacting very well. So you think, well, I don't want to fucking stop this because it's working. So like, you just change the motion or move away a little bit, bring in your fingers a bit more. Or generally, if it's getting small, you're probably doing too much work with your tongue anyway.
I kind of
So you just change it up a bit.
Yeah, I switched to mouth, like lips
Yeah,
specifically.
yeah.
That's a really good way to continue the vibe and the feeling, especially if like your tongue can be sore for 100 different reasons. But switch to your mouth, kind of learn to control your hands, so you can continue on,
Yeah.
manually stimulating her, etc.
Yeah. And I think on that note, I think the sort of the slight sucking motion is very pleasurable for a lot of women.
I like that, actually. I do that quite a bit.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I don't quite have a question, but I have. So as I mentioned, there's a book I read before, which is by an author named Ian Kerner called "She Comes First: The Thinking Man's Guide to Pleasuring a Woman." Mm-hmm. It was recommended to me from an old colleague of mine, and it was a good, positive affirmation. Like you're on the right track. Mm-hmm. The funniest quote from this book was, "This may sound weird, but I love to listen to whale music when a guy goes down on me."
Whale music?
Whale music.
Whale music.
That's a bit disturbing.
"I have all these bizarre underwater fantasies. Sometimes I even imagine that I'm the female whale and that I'm being called by the male whale."
As I said,
with
disturbing.
what? His 50-foot cock. And this is a listener story around kind of connecting on how much it's not just physical. This is an emotional, this is a mental piece connecting together.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a really funny kind of call out, but it is definitely around. It's not only about experience, it's not only about technique, but it's about that relationship that you have with that other person.
Yeah. And I think just on the topic of, the sounds of pleasure, I think that's also a great way for women to give that reinforcement to the man, right? Like, oh yes, keep going, like don't stop, or whale noises. I don't know how to do that. I don't even know how to do that on the show, but what does the whale noise sound like?
No, I'm still thinking disturbing. Sorry.
I'm haunted by this whale's 50-foot cock. But I think I think feedback's good. Whether it's moaning, whether it's talking. Some people are.
You need feedback.
Yeah.
Without question.
And I think the body actually does give a lot of feedback, as you were saying, like the arch of the back, if you're putting the hand on the woman's pelvis. One of the things that I find I do a lot is that when I'm getting close, like my thighs just tend to almost like clamp up and like want to close. Yeah. And if any of you listening out there are like me, it's actually quite pleasurable when the man actually almost like forces them open and like goes, "No, you staying right here."
Damn. Okay.
and you're coming.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's hit all my buttons.
I just get the. I need to be more aggressive in bed. I'm learning. This is a learning process. Thank you.
So finally, Roland, what are your final thoughts on the great experience?
Well, I guess it comes down to sensible things anyway. I think it's about giving. It's about respecting your partner. For me, when I have sex with someone, it needs to be intimate. Otherwise, I don't have sex for the sake of having sex. If I want to masturbate, I want to get myself off, I'll get myself off. But when you're with another person, it has to be intimate. So, and this is, as we were just saying earlier, it's one of the most intimate things you can do.
Yeah.
And there's a border, and it's tough to get through that sometimes. But I think just be giving and be understanding, and communicate as best you can.
Yeah.
I mean, everything in life is about communication, and that's where we falter.
Yeah.
And if it's not working, keep trying a bit.
Yeah.
And patience.
Yeah.
And wait for the positive feedback, because you can tell everything for the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah. And I think for women, like what I am getting from this is, just take it in the spirit that oral pleasure is being offered. It's a form of self-love. It's a form of self-care. It's a gift that your partner wants to give to you, and receive it and have fun.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Well, Roland, I'm glad we're kindred spirits. I'll touch you awkwardly across the podcast.
That was a funny thing. I know you're funny about tactile little.
Yeah.
Little soft
I'm
touches.
funny about this.
Dude, I've got no problems. You can touch me hard or soft.
Even just doing it makes me feel it. I think what I learned, and kind of this is the first time I've ever talked about it, ever, and
with another guy.
I mean, me too.
And isn't that crazy to think that for all the women out there who think, and other men who think, guys just talk about this all the time. We never do. And I think the big takeaways is, yes, we need to appreciate you're self-conscious, and that's fine. And we can do everything we can to make that easier. And there's a lot of techniques, fine, whatever. Yeah. But simply for men like Roland and I, it is around, this is what we get pleasure out of doing. This is what our intimacy leads up to. This is how it begins. This is how it should end. And that, you know, it shouldn't be a path to something else. It should be about a shared experience. And again, just like on our previous episode, it is about communication. It's not about a surprise. It is not about expectation. It's around open communication around what that pleasure is.
Yeah, and obviously women, you have a part to play in this too, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily verbal communication.
Yeah.
It's all about through tactile and feelings and emotion. Everything's involved.
So, like everything, take your fucking time. Boys get criticized for being overly simple.
Yeah.
But honestly, we're fucking impatient.
Yeah.
And we don't need to be. It's around enjoying the moment. It's around sharing that experience. It's about taking your time. And I promise you, if it's worth it, it will come in time.